Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. In May of 2016, a 3-year-old child fell into the enclosure of Harambe, a gorilla at the Cincinnati Zoo. Despite the non-aggressive interaction, in a moment of tension and concern for the child's life, the zoo decided to shoot Harambe to save the child. The photo captured one of the last moments of Maqsood Khan, aged 20, inside a white tiger cage at the Delhi Zoo, India, on September 23 of 2014, moments before the animal's fatal attack. Olga Sheena photographed her husband holding their sleeping child on the steps of Metrojet Flight 9268 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, on October 31, 2015. The caption read, "We are going home." Shortly after takeoff, the flight experienced a catastrophic explosion that disintegrated the aircraft mid-air, killing all 224 passengers and crew on board. In this photo, Irina Glazunova, a 24-year-old Russian influencer, poses while on vacation with a friend in Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. Excited about filming, she grabbed her friend's phone and began walking sideways, distracted by the recording, unaware of what lay ahead. Without realizing it, Irina fell into the entrance of a metro station, plunging 16 feet and hitting her head on the ground. Despite emergency services being called, she suffered a severe skull fracture and did not survive. In this photo, Casey, a father of 2, was helping ducks cross a busy road in California in May 2023. While performing this selfless act, he was tragically struck by an oncoming vehicle. A tribute was created at the site with flowers, drawings, and small rubber ducks, symbolizing his kindness and the impact he had on the community. A Polish influencer couple crossed a safety barrier at a high zone for a dramatic photo. While their children took the picture, they lost their balance and fell fatally several feet. While hunters posed with a black bear they had killed as a trophy, another bear, possibly a relative of the prey, silently watched from behind. Undoubtedly, it was a tense moment for the photographer. Zhenya Ignatieva, a 17-year-old Russian teenager, was passionate about daring selfies. In this photo, she attempted to capture yet another impressive moment, but shortly after the click, she lost her balance and fell onto 1,500-volt power lines. The tragedy not only ended her life brutally, but also became a painful reminder of the fatal dangers of seeking extreme photos. Tina and Gabe Watson were on their honeymoon in Australia, when Gabe, eager to explore the Great Barrier Reef, convinced Tina to dive, falsely claiming to be an experienced diver. However, tragedy struck. This photo captured Tina lying on the ocean floor in her final moments of life, abandoned by Gabe, her own husband, who left her to face death alone. Steven Weber organized an unforgettable marriage proposal during his vacation in Tanzania in 2019. He dove to the underwater window of the hotel room, holding a handwritten note and a ring, showing his proposal through the glass. Tragically, he ran out of air during the romantic gesture and could not return to the surface alive. This image shows a boy sitting on his father's shoulders next to a car in Omagh, Northern Ireland in 1998. Minutes after the photo, a car bomb exploded, killing 29 people and injuring more than 220. In this photo, Kisuk Khan, aged 58, is hanging on the subway tracks in New York on December 3 of 2012, after an argument. Unable to escape, he was struck by the train seconds after the photo was taken. Ronaldo Dagsa, a Filipino politician, photographed his family during New Year's in 2011. The image also captured his assassin pointing a gun seconds before the shot that took his life, tragically. In this image, a jaguar sneaks up on a man from behind, while his armed partner watches carefully, ready to act. Surprisingly, the jaguar attacked with extreme speed before they could react, resulting in a tragic fatality. This disturbing image captures the final moments of Regina K. Walters, cruelly photographed by her own killer. She and her boyfriend, Ricky Lee Jones, had embarked on an adventure toward Mexico, but accepted a fatal ride from Robert Rhodes, a truck driver hiding a dark secret. His truck, turned into a torture chamber, became the site of one of the most shocking crimes on U.S. highways. Known as the truck stop killer, Rhodes ended Regina's life in this haunting photographic record. This photo shows students from Columbine High School posing for their yearbook in April 1999. In the upper left corner, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold make gun gestures toward the camera. Just days after this photo, on April 20th, 1999, Eric and Dylan carried out a devastating attack on Columbine High School, taking the lives of 12 students and a teacher. The massacre shocked the world, becoming one of the most tragic and unforgettable events in the history of American schools. Moments before a tragedy, Lebanese teenager Mohammed Shar and his friends took a casual selfie in Beirut, unaware of the impending danger. Moments after the photo, a bomb exploded, instantly claiming Mohammed's life and those of his nearby friends. On this Air Florida flight, a Boeing 737-222 crashed into the Potomac River shortly after taking off from Washington in January 1982. The accident killed 78 people and had a severe impact on the region. Moments before hitting the Potomac River, the plane collided with 7 vehicles on the bridge connecting Washington to Arlington, amplifying the tragedy before finally crashing into the icy waters. In this image, a young bride poses radiantly on her special day, minutes before a catastrophic explosion at the port of Beirut on August 4, 2020. The joyful celebration was suddenly interrupted by the devastation which destroyed much of the city and left thousands injured. Catherine Warburton, a 29-year-old Australian tourist, ignored safety barriers at the Anchorage Zoo in Alaska on July 29, 1994, to take a close-up photo of the polar bear Binky. He lunged forward, biting her foot and causing severe injuries. The following day, Binky made headlines in several newspapers, appearing with Catherine's red sneaker in his teeth. This image captures the moment when a Ukrainian soldier leaps across a battlefield, unaware he was about to trigger a Russian landmine. The explosion caused severe injuries and the immediate amputation of his right leg. Leonard Sifleit, a member of a Special Forces unit, was captured during a mission in New Guinea in World War II. This photo was taken moments before his execution by decapitation. The photo shows Carl Wallenda, famous for his tightrope walks, moments before his fatal fall from a height of 121 feet in Puerto Rico in March of 1978 at the age of 73. On a trail near the railroad in Utah, 3 teenagers pose smiling with a train in the background in October 2011. Minutes later, they were fatally struck by the same train. At the site of the accident, family and friends erected a memorial to honor the young lives lost. Andrei Retrovsky, just 17 years old, posed for this photo without realizing it would be his last. Only 10 seconds later, he fell from the building, ending his life abruptly and tragically. During a show in Las Vegas in 2003, one of Siegfried and Roy's White Tigers attacked Roy Horn on stage, turning the famous performance into a shocking tragedy. The attack left Roy with devastating injuries that partially paralyzed him and permanently ended the legendary performances of Siegfried and Roy. This tragic event marked the end of an era of magic and grandeur that had captivated Las Vegas for decades. This image shows the final moments of Ali Khan Samsudin, a renowned snake charmer, just before he was fatally attacked by one of his cobras in 2006. Famous for his extraordinary mastery over these animals, Ali was fatally bitten during one of his performances, ending his life tragically in the practice that made him a legend. Jolie Callan went on a hike with her ex-boyfriend Lauren Bunner at Chea State Park, Alabama on August 30, 2015. Tragically, Bunner pushed Callan off a 40-foot cliff, ending her life. This image, captured by Bunner, shows Callan's final moments before the fatal act, forever marking a devastating crime. This photo shows Saman Gunan, a former Thai Navy SEAL, before his rescue mission in Tham Luang, Thailand, in 2018. He lost his life after delivering oxygen tanks to the 12 boys trapped in the cave during the expedition. In this photo from an air show in the United Kingdom, on August 22, 2015, the Hawker Hunter jet failed to complete a loop, crashing onto the A27 road and striking multiple vehicles. The impact killed 11 people while the pilot survived. The disaster shocked the United Kingdom, leading to significant changes in air safety regulations. Soviet guerrillas preparing moments before executing a man accused of treason in Germany during World War II. In this photo, we captured 2-year-old James Bulger holding hands with a 10-year-old boy at a shopping mall in the United Kingdom in 1993. Hours later, James was abducted and brutally murdered by 2 boys of the same age. This photo captures the moment when a Japanese kamikaze aircraft is about to collide with an American warship during World War II. In this image, a B-24 Liberator bomber is hit by German anti-aircraft fire and is about to crash and explode during a mission in World War II. Franz Reichelt, a French inventor, chose the Eiffel Tower in Paris in 1912 to test his parachute prototype. This photo captures the moments before his jump, witnessed by a curious crowd. As expected, the parachute failed, and Reichelt fell 187 feet. Interestingly, the autopsy later revealed that he suffered a heart attack during the fall, dying before even hitting the ground. In this photo, we see President John F. Kennedy's car traveling down Main Street in Dallas, Texas, on November 22nd of 1963. Moments after this photo was taken, he was fatally shot as the car turned onto Elm Street. The photo captures Jack Ruby pointing his gun at Lee Harvey Oswald, who was arrested for the assassination of President Kennedy on November 24th of 1963. Oswald was killed in front of cameras after the photograph was taken. The image shows Timothy McVeigh in the background, with a truck loaded with explosives moments before the Oklahoma City bombing in April of 1995. The explosion killed 168 people, including 19 children. This photo captures the exact moment when Otoya Yamaguchi strikes politician Inajiro Asanuma in Tokyo in 1960 with a traditional Japanese blade. This photo shows Officer Ashley Gwindon on her first day of service with the Prince William County Police Department, Virginia, in 2016. During her first shift, she responded to a domestic violence call that turned fatal. At the scene, Ronald Hamilton killed his wife, Crystal, and fatally shot Officer Ashley, injuring 2 other officers. Initially sentenced to death, his penalty was later commuted to life in prison without parole. Colonel Paul W. Tibbets Jr. waves from the cockpit of the Enola Gay, a Boeing B-29, moments before dropping the atomic bomb that would devastate all forms of life in Hiroshima. This image of Hiroshima shows the city moments before the atomic bombing on August 6, 1945, during World War II. Taken shortly after the bombing, this image reveals the devastation, with the city identifiable only by the ruins of the Genbaku Dome, which remained partially standing. Ayrton Senna, one of the greatest names in Formula One, is seen relaxing in a rare moment of calm before the tragic accident in 1994. The fateful event during the race not only ended his life, but left a lasting scar on the world of motorsport. In this photo, a prisoner is seen in his final moments before execution in the electric chair at Sing Sing, New York. Overcome with fear, he faced his last moments while spectators watched, witnessing the terrifying and brutal process of the electric chair. Sharon Tate, a promising actress, was photographed moments before her final night, on August 8th of 1969. 8 months pregnant, she and 4 friends were brutally murdered by members of Charles Manson's cult at her home in Los Angeles. The photo shows Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old university student, in the elevator of the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles for the last time, moments before her disappearance. Her body was tragically found weeks later in a water tank. This photograph captures the atomic cloud over Nagasaki in 1945, moments before the wave of devastation hit the photographer. The bombing caused massive destruction and thousands of deaths. In this image, Brazilian priest Adelir Antonio de Carli appears shortly before attempting to break a world record on April 20, 2008, planning to fly for 20 hours using 600 helium balloons. His goal was to stay in the air for more than 19 hours, drawing significant media and public attention. Shortly after takeoff, Adelir disappeared, prompting intense searches and speculation about a possible forced landing. 2 months later, however, parts of his body were found along the coast, confirming the tragic end to his adventure. During a competition, Mick Fanning faced one of the most terrifying moments in professional surfing when he encountered a great white shark. The shark became entangled in his safety cord, creating moments of intense suspense. With courage and quick instincts, Mick punched the shark, driving it away and calming the panic among spectators on the beach. During the first public display of the Waco glider in 1943, a tragic accident occurred when a loose bolt caused the starboard wing to detach mid-flight. The glider fell from 660 feet at Lambert Field in St. Louis, resulting in the deaths of 10 people and becoming one of the darkest events in aviation history of the time. This photo shows Tupac Shakur leaving the MGM Grand in Las Vegas on the night of September 7, 1996, after attending Mike Tyson's boxing match. Minutes earlier, a lobby altercation had escalated tensions between rival groups. Tupac left the venue with Suge Knight in a car. Hours later, Tupac was fatally shot in a drive-by, symbolizing the peak of the East Coast-West Coast rap feud. This photo captured one of the last moments of Darsh Patel and his friends during a hike in West Milford, New Jersey, shortly before a black bear in the background attacked them fatally. The photo captured Hasib Hussein leaving a store at King's Cross Station in London on July 7 of 2005, moments before detonating an explosive as part of a series of attacks that killed around 52 people. The photo shows Nicholas Mavoli, a professional freediver, after reaching a depth of 236 feet at Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas in 2013. Although he signaled that he was okay, he suffered a blackout and died shortly after the photo was taken. Robert Overacker, an experienced lifeguard, tried to jump over Niagara Falls to raise awareness about homelessness. On October 1st of 1995, his parachute failed, resulting in his fatal fall. This image shows Freddie Mercury in his garden shortly before his death on November 24, 1991. One of the greatest rock vocalists, he revealed his battle with AIDS just one day before passing away. This image shows American soldiers moments before landing on the beaches of Normandy, France in June 1944 during D-Day. Upon landing, many soldiers faced immediate death under intense enemy fire. This made D-Day one of the most brutal and heroic moments of the war. In this photo, Hank Carr stands next to two police officers moments before committing a brutal act. Shortly after the picture was taken, he killed both officers in white, shocking the nation. The tragic incident led to the creation of a memorial honoring the officers, a tribute to their dedication and sacrifice, and spurred changes in police safety protocols. This image is recognized as the last known photograph of the RMS Titanic before the end of its maiden voyage. Taken on April 11, 1912, shortly after leaving Queenstown, it shows the ship with approximately 2,224 passengers and crew embarking on its final journey. 3 days later, the Titanic struck an iceberg, resulting in the loss of about 1,500 lives in one of the most tragic maritime disasters of the era. This photo is the last known image of Bruce Lee before his death in July 1973. A martial arts and film icon, he left a profound impact that transcended generations. His sudden death at the age of 32 shocked the world, making this photograph a poignant reminder of his final days. John Lennon was photographed signing an album for Mark David Chapman in New York on December 8 of 1980. Hours later, Chapman killed him with 5 shots in front of the hotel lobby. Pavel Kashin, a Russian freerunner, was performing a stunt on top of a building in St. Petersburg in 2013. During the maneuver, he lost his balance and fell, tragically ending his life moments after this photograph. In this image, French driver Jules Bianchi is seen just before stepping into his car for the race that would tragically seal his fate in 2014. During the Japanese Grand Prix on a wet track, Bianchi suffered a devastating accident, colliding with a recovery vehicle. He was left in a coma and, after months of struggle, passed away in July 2015, marking one of Formula One's most heartbreaking episodes. Indian actor Krishnan Nair, known as Jayan, was photographed while filming an action scene just before his death. He fell during a risky maneuver, resulting in the tragic end of his life. The Tsarnaev brothers, Dzhokhar and Tamerlan, were seen near the finish line of the Boston Marathon in April of 2013, about to detonate explosives, which would take the lives of 3 people and injure another 260. The final moments of Saddam Hussein, former president of Iraq, before his execution by hanging after being captured in December of 2003. He was sentenced for crimes against humanity, including the death of 148 Shiites in 1982. A photo taken by a passenger aboard Japan Airlines Flight 123 captures moments of tension on the Boeing 747 before the disaster. 12 minutes after takeoff, the aircraft suffered a structural failure and fatal decompression, crashing near Mount Takamagahara, 62 miles from Tokyo. The accident resulted in 520 deaths and only 4 survivors, making it one of the deadliest in aviation history. The photo shows Amelia Earhart bidding farewell to her husband George P. Putnam in Miami in June of 1937, before embarking on her last journey. She was attempting to circumnavigate the globe, but disappeared while flying over the Pacific Ocean, leaving no trace. The photo shows Michael McQuilkin, aged 18, and his brother Sean, aged 12, moments before the disaster, climbing Morro Rock in Sequoia National Park, California in 1975. A lightning strike hit them shortly after the photo was taken, but both miraculously survived. This image shows Mainga Nseka, a nurse from Zaire, dressed in protective gear during the first Ebola outbreak in 1976 in Yambuku. She tragically contracted the virus and died shortly after the photo was taken. In this photo, we see Franklin D. Roosevelt greeting his supporters at Bayfront Park in Miami in February of 1933, shortly before Anton Cermak was shot by Giuseppe Zangara in an assassination attempt meant for Roosevelt. In this photo, Paul Walker was photographed for the last time entering a Porsche Carrera GT during a charity event in Santa Clarita, California on November 30th of 2013. Minutes later, his car collided and exploded, killing Walker and Roger Rodas in the accident. This photo shows Olisia, 31, from Kazakhstan, enjoying her brief moments of freedom in Turkey. Shortly after this photo, she lost her balance and fell over 98 feet from a cliff, in a fatal tragedy that ended her life. Moments before, an American Airlines plane lost an engine after taking off from O'Hare Airport in Chicago in 1979. The accident killed 271 people aboard and 2 on the ground. During this maintenance at the Piet de Wit Wind Park in the Netherlands, a fire left 2 engineers trapped at the top of a turbine in October of 2013. Embraced, both tragically lost their lives in this incident. Dave Halley took one last photo of his wife and daughter before the departure of Flight MH17 in 2014. The aircraft was shot down by a missile in Ukraine, killing all 298 people on board, generating global condemnation at the time. This recording occurred moments before a hot air balloon collided with high-voltage power lines in Carterton, New Zealand, in 2012 during a scenic ride. The fire tragically claimed the lives of 12 people aboard the balloon. This surveillance image shows a woman withdrawing money from an ATM under coercion in 2007. Shortly after the photo, she and her family, held hostage, were killed by the perpetrator. Hilda Clayton, a combat photographer, took her final photo in July 2013 in Afghanistan. At the exact moment of the photo, a mortar tube exploded, killing her and 4 Afghan soldiers simultaneously. In this image, we see the crew of the NASA Space Shuttle Challenger, composed of 7 astronauts, including a civilian teacher, preparing for the mission on January 28th of 1986. Shortly after launch, the shuttle disintegrated mid-air. In the photo, the Challenger is in the brief moment of flight before the tragic accident. Only 73 seconds after takeoff, a booster failure caused the destruction of the shuttle and the death of the 7 astronauts aboard. This photo shows a young man before leaving for war in 1941, serving until 1945. Over 4 years, he lost his youth on the battlefield, returning as a man aged decades by the experience. In this photo, TransAsia Flight 235 was facing technical issues after taking off from Taipei, Taiwan on February 4th of 2015. The aircraft crashed over a highway and then into the Keelung River, resulting in tragedy. This photo shows Prince Philip in a car with his team members on February 16th of 2021. Just 23 days later, he passed away at 99 years old after being hospitalized. This photo was taken showing Alexei Navalny and his wife watching Rick and Morty on a flight back to Russia. The Russian opposition leader was arrested on January 17th of 2021 upon landing from the plane. The image shows Rachel Scott, moments before her death in the Columbine High School shooting in 1999. She had been an advocate for ending bullying and promoting good deeds, becoming an icon of compassion before the tragedy occurred. These are the last images of Kendrick Johnson, age 17, walking through his school gymnasium on January 10th of 2013. The next day, his body was found rolled up in a gym mat. Kim Wall, a journalist, was seen boarding Peter Madson's submarine on August 10th of 2017. Later, Madsen killed Wall aboard the vessel in a crime that shocked the world. This photo captures the event in Rangoon, Burma, in 1983, where moments before 3 North Korean bombers attempted to assassinate South Korean President Chun Doo-hwan. The attack killed 21 people, but the president was saved due to his car's delay. The photo captures the last moment of Jason Allen and Lindsay Cutshall, moments before being shot while sleeping under the stars in August of 2004 at a campground. The killer was found years later. This photo of Dr. Deepa Sharma was posted on July 25th of 2019 while she was traveling to Himachal Pradesh in India. Just minutes after the photo, her bus was hit by a landslide and she passed away. The photo shows Jeremy Worthy live streaming on Facebook while kayaking in Batemans Bay, New South Wales. During the broadcast, he begged for his life before drowning. The photo captures the moment before the impact of a Russian Lancet munition near an improvised Ukrainian MLRS and its crew. Miraculously, there were no casualties in the attack. The last selfie of Dr. Jamie Zimmerman was taken minutes before her accidental death. While on vacation in Kauai, Hawaii, she slipped on some rocks and was dragged into the sea, passing away before being rescued. The image captures the Sultana steamboat moments before its tragic explosion on April 27th of 1865. Over 2,400 people were aboard, resulting in the death of 1,865 of them. This is Mount St. Helens in Washington, moments before the eruption, showing its calm appearance in the spring of 1980. During the eruption, an ash column ascended miles into the sky, while a massive landslide of lava, rocks, and hot gases ripped off the top of the volcano. This photograph shows a family posing in front of a building in Pripyat, moments before the tragedy that would occur in 1986 at the Chernobyl nuclear plant. In this second image, the arrival of rescue teams at Chernobyl is recorded. After the disaster, the city was transformed into an exclusion zone, with residents evacuated and radiation covering everything. The photo shows Mahatma Gandhi moments before being shot by Nathuram Godse on January 30th of 1948. Gandhi was at a prayer event, surrounded by followers when he was struck. The photo captures a truck fleeing and almost being hit by pyroclastic flows ejected from Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines in 1991. The volcano erupted, releasing ash clouds and deadly gases. In this image, a forest fire is quickly approaching an urban area in Argentina in January of 2023. The flames and dense smoke are moments away from touching the city, indicating the imminent danger about to unfold. The photo shows a Soviet political commissar leading his troops against the Germans in 1942, moments before being shot. This image shows the Russian ambassador, Andrei Karlov, in Turkey on December 19th of 2016, moments before being assassinated by an off-duty Turkish policeman visible in the background during an event in Ankara. This was the last photo of William McKinley, former President of the United States, taken on September 6th of 1901, moments before being shot by Leon Czolgosz, an anarchist, while shaking hands with the public. This photo, captured during a news coverage, shows one of the last images of Officer Stephen Green, moments before he was killed by the suspect on the right. The photo shows Carl Williams sitting and reading a newspaper, unaware that Matthew Charles Johnson was approaching from behind. Shortly after the photo, Williams was beaten to death with an exercise bike bar. The photo shows Ramon Gonzalez taking a selfie moments before his motorcycle collided with a vehicle, resulting in his death shortly thereafter. In this photo, the Granite Mountain hotshots observed the Yarnell Hill wildfire on June 30th of 2013. During the battle, 19 team members lost their lives when the fire mysteriously changed direction suddenly. In this photo, William D. Becker, mayor of St. Louis, and other politicians are aboard a military glider in 1943. Shortly after the photo, the glider crashed, tragically killing Becker and all the other passengers. This was the last photo of Lieutenant Colonel Henry Worsley, taken at an isolated point in Antarctica in 2015. Just a few kilometers from completing his 1,800-kilometer trek, he died from exhaustion and organ failure. In this image, Air France Flight 4590 was on fire during takeoff from Paris to New York on July 25th of 2000. Debris on the runway damaged the tire, causing a fire and the plane's crash in Gonesse, killing 113 people. The photo shows Dale Earnhardt in his final minutes smiling and holding his wife's hand on February 18th of 2001 during the Daytona 500, where he fatally collided on the track. The photo shows Archduke Ferdinand of Austria and his wife Sophie moments before they were assassinated in Sarajevo on June 28th of 1914. The assassination, committed by Gavrilo Princip, was the famous trigger of World War I. The photo shows Cadet Stephen Hilder smiling and giving a thumbs up moments before his tragic parachute jump in July of 2003. During the descent, both parachutes failed, resulting in his death. The photo shows George Mallory and Andrew Sandy Irvine at the base camp of Mount Everest in 1924, preparing to climb. After the photograph, they disappeared, and Mallory's body was only found in 1999. In this photo, Japanese soldiers wave from an aircraft carrier as a plane prepares to attack Pearl Harbor on December 7th of 1941. The surprise attack led the U.S. to enter World War II against the Axis forces. This photograph shows the start of the fire at the Station nightclub in Rhode Island during a show in 2003. The fire, caused by pyrotechnics, killed 100 people and injured 200 others, visible in its beginning behind the guitarist. This is the last photograph of Christopher McCandless, taken in 1992, showing the young man on his solitary journey through Alaska. His lack of preparation and extreme conditions led to his death from starvation after over 100 days at the site. Diana, Princess of Wales, was photographed in one of her last moments in the backseat of a Mercedes-Benz on the night of August 31st of 1997, just before her tragic accident on the Pont de l'Alma in Paris, which resulted in her death. In this photo, James Dean is seen refueling his Porsche 550 Spyder moments before his fatal accident on September 30th of 1955. The incident marked the end of a renowned Hollywood career. Martin Luther King Jr. was photographed on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis on April 3rd of 1968. The day after the photo, he was assassinated, an event that deeply impacted the civil rights struggle in America. Pacific Southwest Airlines Flight 182 collided with a Cessna over San Diego, California in 1978. The collision killed 137 aboard the Boeing 727 and 7 in the Cessna, along with victims on the ground. Communication failures were cited as the main causes of the accident. The 18 members of the United States figure skating team of 1961, along with coaches and family members, were photographed just before boarding for Brussels. On that occasion, the plane crashed near the capital, killing everyone aboard the flight. The last photo of Uruguayan Flight 571, just before it crashed in the Andes on October 13th of 1972. Of the 45 aboard, 27 survived the impact and faced extreme conditions to survive in the harsh environment after the crash. In this photo, taken during an air show at Sknyliv Airport in Ukraine in 2002, a fighter jet lost control and collided with a crowd, killing 77 people, including families and children, in the worst air show disaster in history. Duncan, highlighted by a red circle, was snorkeling while his 2-year-old son played in the sand. Seconds after the photo, he disappeared under the waves, and his remains were later found on the same beach. This photograph captured the LZ-129 Hindenburg airship in May of 1937 as it tried to dock at Lakehurst Air Base, New Jersey, and caught fire. Of the 97 people aboard, 36 died. The use of flammable hydrogen was a critical factor in these incidents. This image captured moments before a B-52 Stratofortress was about to crash at Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington in 1994 during risky maneuvers by Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Bud Holland. 4 crew members aboard lost their lives. Tourists at Hat Rai Lay Beach, southern Thailand in December of 2004, moments before watching the approach of a tsunami caused by the Great Indian Ocean earthquake, which devastated and killed more than 230,000 people. This photo records tourists and locals on a beach in Southeast Asia moments before the tsunami in December of 2004. Unaware of the imminent danger, many were caught by the giant waves of the disaster. During the eruption of Mount St. Helens in May of 1980, Robert Landsberg captured the approaching ash cloud. Knowing he would not survive, he used his own body to protect the film, preserving his final photographs of the incident. Austin Stephanus and Perry Cohen from Florida disappeared after leaving Jupiter Inlet in a boat during a storm. The boat was found, but their bodies were never recovered and remain missing to this day. This photo of Deanna Wild, age 20, was taken in 1987, shortly before she was pushed off a cliff by Billy Joe McGinnis and his wife, who had taken out a life insurance policy in her name one day earlier. In this photo, Molly LaRue and Jeff Hood are seen after exploring the Appalachian Trail in 1990. Shortly after, they were murdered at Cove Mountain, Pennsylvania by Paul David Cruz, a fugitive. This event shocked the hiking community for years. In the photo, Joseph Kennedy Jr., older brother of John F. Kennedy, poses before his last mission during World War II. A few hours later, his aircraft exploded prematurely, taking his life. In the photo, Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon smile for the camera during a hike in Panama on April 1, 2014. Shortly after, both disappeared, and their belongings were mysteriously found weeks later, including their backpack and a camera that captured their final moments. This image shows engineering students on a study trip in Himachal Pradesh, India on June 8, 2014. During a break for photos, the sudden opening of a hydroelectric dam's gates caused a fatal flood, sweeping away everyone on the excursion and turning a moment of relaxation into an unexpected tragedy. Filippo Bari, an experienced mountaineer, sent one final smiling selfie from the Italian Alps on a Sunday with the message, "Look where I am." Minutes later, a fatal avalanche ended his life, bringing his adventure to a tragic conclusion. In this photo, David Alexander Johnston, a volcanologist with the U.S. Geological Survey, monitored Mount St. Helens in Skamania, Washington in 1980. His last words were, "Vancouver, this is it," just before the volcano's fatal explosion. In the final moments before the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, tourists gathered for a last group photo, aware of the impending disaster. This photograph became a poignant memory, representing not only nature's relentless power, but also human courage and vulnerability in the face of the inevitable. In this image, a tourist captured a jet engine through the airplane window, showing signs of imminent failure. Moments after the photo, the catastrophic failure resulted in the crash of the aircraft, with no survivors. In rough waters, this container ship faced intense waves, tilting dangerously. The crew fought to stabilize it, while the risk of sinking increased. This photo captures the moment when the ship is about to sink. Shortly afterward, its cargo was sent to the ocean floor, causing significant financial and environmental damage due to the disaster. This photograph is the last known image of Alexei Nikolaevich, the heir to the Russian throne, accompanied by his sister Olga. Captured in May 1918 aboard the steamship Rus, it shows the siblings being transported to Yekaterinburg in the Soviet Republic of Russia. Shortly after, the imperial family was detained and executed, marking the end of the Romanov dynasty and one of the darkest chapters in Russian history. This photo shows a group of experienced skiers posing before embarking on what would become their final journey in 1959, in the icy Ural Mountains near the Dyatlov Pass. Shortly after, all were found dead under mysterious circumstances, turning the case into one of the most chilling and unexplained stories of the 20th century. Theories about the tragedy ranged from secret military experiments to encounters with aliens, but no definitive explanation was ever found. Soviet investigations revealed that the skiers had fled in desperation from an unknown force, leaving behind their belongings and shelter to face the deadly cold. This image shows the SS Grand Camp docked in Texas City, Texas on April 16, 1947, as firefighters attempted to contain a fire on board, unaware of the imminent disaster to follow. Shortly after this photo was taken, the SS Grand Camp was destroyed in one of the most powerful non-nuclear explosions ever recorded. The devastating impact killed 468 people, injured over 5,000, and left the city in ruins, marking a grim chapter in local history. This photo, one of the last taken aboard the Titanic, shows Thomas Macaulay and William Parr posing for a picture by Francis Brown in the gymnasium in April 1912, just before the sinking. In this photo, a group of tourists stands on White Island, New Zealand on July 9, 2019, during what seemed like a peaceful excursion around the region's active volcano. Shortly after, the trip turned into a scene of unexpected devastation. The volcano erupted, killing 5 people, injuring 18, and leaving 10 missing. Andrea Mazzetto posed for this photo alongside his girlfriend Sara Brigante in Rozzo, Italy. Seconds later, while trying to retrieve his phone that had fallen, he plunged over 600 feet and tragically lost his life. The couple was climbing the Alto Nodo, a rock formation in their hometown, while trying to capture the moment. After the accident, Sara faced severe criticism on social media, adding to her immense grief. The photo shows a hunter posing with a large deer he hunted. However, it appears the blood attracted a cougar, which can be seen just behind the scene. The animal saw an easy meal opportunity. Gilles Leclerc and Marianne Labanane took a selfie at the Bataclan Theater in Paris minutes before an attack on November 13th of 2015. 4 terrorists attacked the theater, killing 90 spectators. Marianne survived, but Gilles did not.